What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. I am joined once again by the one and only Josh Wheeldon. He is not only a Army vet, he's also a great human being doing amazing things for the veteran community just by simply caring and going above and beyond, connecting other veteran service organizations. So thank you so much for joining us again to tell your story, because I personally want to know, and I know that other people are listening in wanting to know as well. So thank you.
Yes, sir. It's great to be back.
Hell yeah, man. So let's get straight into the nitty, the gritty, and the sometimes shitty, but hopefully not for you. Your childhood. Let's go straight into it. Why don't you tell me, what was it like growing up for you? What things did stand out to you the most? What impactful moments have you had?
Yeah. So that's it's kind of a loaded, complicated question to say the least, right? So, um, childhood. I was born in Longview, Washington. Reality check. Does Eddie know where Longview, Washington is?
No.
It's 84 miles south of Main Gate, JBLM.
Okay. So it's way down south.
Yeah, almost by Vancouver.
Awesome.
So, I was born there on in October of 1983. Right, so that puts me nearing my 40th year on this planet. Right, so
still got plenty of years left, brother.
no, yeah, man, I can't wait till my beard's white though. It's gonna be awesome.
Santa Claus. Santa Claus.
So, born in Longview, I lived a few years down in a little town named Naselle, Washington. So it's going towards, it's about 60 so miles or west of Longview, Kelso, in a county called Wahkiakum County. Another place you've probably never heard of.
Right?
Oh
no,
we're gonna plug Eddie into rural Washington. You're about to get connected.
I'll tell you what, I love visiting there. If it's got trucks with guns in the back window, if it's got American flags everywhere, I probably fit right in.
Oh yeah, you probably fit right in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we lived for a few years. How do I even go about saying it, right? My the sometimes shitty portion, right? That's the so February 28th, 1987, we were in a car heading home from Disney on Ice in Portland with my grandpa, my biological father, a couple cousins. We were headed down Highway 4 and got smashed by a drunk driver. Right? My grandpa dead on the scene.
Damn.
Father was injured. Cousins injured. We were injured. The car wreck happened. And a lot of us know about. I was just a little guy, right? So I was born in '83. That happened in '87. I was 4, sitting on a lap in the car. And I was asleep, so it didn't phase me nothing, right? I woke up in the hospital, whatever. I don't even remember it because you kind of black those little sections of your life out. Mm-hmm. My grandma was injured pretty good. My biological father was injured kind of as well. He hurt his hip, still to this day, walks with a limp, right? And my cousin, they were all in the backseat with my grandma. I think me and my cousins all walked away pretty good, right? But then I was 4 years old and I didn't have a grandpa, right? So it was kind of sucked. And so moving forward, there was some, we know a lot about traumatic events and behavioral health and how some things happen that way. And shortly after, a little while later, my biological father and my mom got divorced. So he went and did his thing, and me and my sister and my mom, we did our thing. We moved to Longview. That's where more or less Longview, Kelso. It's very similar to Parkland and Spanaway. You tell me where one starts and one stops. Nobody knows, right? It's just like one town and the other town. So my mom and sister and I moved up to Longview. My mom working, providing for us, doing what she does. best mom in the world, right? Met my dad, and he had just had a pretty substantial traumatic event as well. So they went to high school together, lived across the cow pasture from each other, so they knew who they were.
Mhm.
And my mom was working at Safeway, and he came in and bought Pepsi every day. I think he was like hoarding Pepsi, right? And then he met her, and he said, "Hey," and they knew each other. And then 5 months later, they were married for 30 years or whatever, you know.
Oh
So,
man.
um, yeah, it was pretty wild. But my dad, um, in '89, I believe, uh, he had his first wife. They were in a substantial log truck accident. So my dad was in the snow, rolled a log truck off a bank. His pregnant wife at the time had died, and then so he was recovering from that, right? And he was working, driving log trucks still, working with my grandpa. My grandpa owned some log trucks in a logging company, and met my mom, came together. Now I have a dad, right? So it was it was pretty cool. Um,
They found their person.
and then yeah, and then so my sister Kylie is 7 years younger than me. So my mom met my dad. They had another kid. Now we got three of us, three kids, two awesome parents, right? And we lived. Man, it's kind of crazy. My parents' resiliency, right? My mom, uh, still to this day, she's 60, almost 60 years old, right? We got about 2 weeks, and she's about to hit the big 6-0, and she's still thriving for her career and her education. So she's finished her master's in nursing. She's the director of a hospital emergency room. Um, and I just got a phone call, so I don't know if that made it weird. My mom is the director of an emergency room, still thrives with her education and continues building what we saw when we were little kids. And my mom was a hairdresser. Then she went to school, and my dad owned his own log truck for a while, and it was kind of spotty, to say the least. And they gave us the best opportunity they had bought a house. Um, it's funny, in South Kelso. People don't know where South Kelso is, right? And it's funny because I met a guy at JBLM that works in the career space, and he's like, "You're from Kelso?" And he's like, "What part?" "South Kelso. That's where I." He's like, "No way." He's like, "Where did you live?" And I was like, "South 8th and Chestnut." And he's like, "Man, I grew up on 11th and Chestnut, like literally down the street from the house, you know."
I
So
love
it's
that. I love how that small town stuff works out. The world's a very
yeah,
small place. We're all bumping elbows with somebody, and you never know till
yeah,
you know.
yeah. So it's cool. So what? Grandpa dies. My dad's first wife died, and it was awesome because um, her family took my mom on as like their second daughter. So they had a couple other kids, but they took our family. They like brought us under their wing. Like we lost our daughter, but now my mom was their second daughter, right?
Mm.
And it's crazy. My mom went to nursing school, and Lisa was her name. She was a nurse, right? So it's wild how the kind of universe works. And then when I was growing up, every year they owned chicken barns down in Oregon, outside of Oregon City, a little ways, and in a little small town. And I would go down there and pick up chickens, work the chicken farms, you know, and they had cows, so we'd throw hay, do all that, and I'd make my like $200 for like 3 weeks of work. And then I'd be able to go to Emporium and buy my Quicksilver T-shirts and my awesome, like that was my school shopping money.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely, man. Country boys can survive. All right, they
yeah,
can.
yeah. So um, that's in it. I had some of my friends to this day. I talked to some of them. We man, we grew up in growing up in the '90s was the we're playing football in the street till the lights come on. Right, my parents don't know where I'm at. I'm doing whatever I want. The lights come on, I go home. There was no cell phones. There was no air tags. I didn't know where they didn't know where I was. They knew I was either up at the elementary school playing basketball or baseball, or we're playing football in the street. Right, so those were the options. So it's crazy to see the way I grew up with this analog technology. that we didn't have. And then now I see, oh, my son has his phone. Is he at his friends? Oh, they went to the store. Where's my wife? Oh, she's there, right?
Mm.
So that was kind of the childhood. And then what did I do? We were my senior year football. We were undefeated league champions. We had some very good victories. I have all my buddies that I still played football with. I played football from the summer of sixth grade all the way through.
Do you think that sports are definitely an important part of modern day society? Because I've noticed that something that you just brought up, the technology, it separates and divides us more than it connects us. We feel like it's a real authentic connection, but it's really we're connected to the technology. I feel that it acts as kind of like a middleman between us as human beings. Back when I was growing up, I go knock on the neighbor's door. Is he home? He didn't do his chores. Oh shit! Look out! I'll go back there. I'll go find another neighbor. I'll hang out with their kids, and we really develop these close relationships and bonds. Do you think that football is something that keeps our society, or things like football keep our society together as far as our youth having a team sport and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, guaranteed. You have to have that camaraderie with someone, right? Because like we know you might not always have someone. Right? Your family might just disappear one day, and you know who you have? You have Joe Snuffy that you played football on the street with till the lights came on. That dude's your homie. It doesn't matter. A lot of times, I heard a couple of people say like the blood is thicker than water, right? This about relationships. Blood is thicker than water, right? Like,
Not
it
always.
is not always though, right? Like
Well, you just brought
sometimes,
it up, didn't you? You
sometimes your
said that
family will draw that blood.
100%, man. And
Yeah,
I think we have a similar outlook on things. So you brought up that you said your biological father, and then you said a different word, dad, right?
yeah,
The person that chose you and that you chose, that
yeah,
is your dad. And I love that,
yeah,
man. I think that's absolutely beautiful. I have a similar situation. You've met him. He's in the Air Force, but I forgive him. It is what it is.
yeah.
But wow, having a father you can choose to love you and that chooses to love you in return. I think that's one of the most healing things out there.
Yeah, and I was processing this earlier, and I actually called my mom and I said, "Hey, I might talk about a couple things on this podcast I'm going to be on, right? Just letting you know, my mom's freaking awesome, And it's funny when you think about it. I called I still talk to him every once in a while, my biological dad. And I call him up, have their phone number. I hit him up every once in a while, but had that funky that thing that I don't want for my boy is um, that weird parenting plan. Kind of one parent lives a ways away, the other lives here every other weekend. Weird thing that happens, and I called him by his first name forever. So it's kind of weird that that's just how it was. Oh, I'm gonna go to his house, and I still have cousins that I talk to, and I talk to him every once in a while, hit him up, it wasn't that role model kind of relationship. And then that, quite frankly, led to I changed my last name. So I did have his last name growing up, but it's funny because my mom would put Wheeldon on my school registrations and everything, right? That was my stepdad's real last name, right? His last name. So they'd put Wheeldon on it. And then I never actually got adopted or anything like that. I waited till I turned 18, and then I went to the court and I told the judge, "Hey, I want to change my last name." They're like, "What? You want to change your last name?" I said, "Yeah." You know how weird it would be if you joined the military and they were calling you a last name that you were never called? Like all during football, like say wrestling, football, everything since you were in elementary school, they're like, "Hey, Wheeldon, get over here, do this." But they're saying the other last name. That'd be weird, man. Like,
Yeah.
I can't do that. I wasn't raised with
No.
that name. So it's
Absolutely.
yeah, and that's kind of it's just what it is.
Yeah.
Is life happens. But I know that I've told you before, my son Maverick is 1,000,000% times infinity the reason I am here in Washington State, because my wife and our family, all our family are in Oregon, but there is no way, shape, or form. I'm not seeing this dude every day. Every weekend he has football. We have track. We travel. We do everything. And I am just blessed that his mom, and my ex-wife, is so great to him.
Mm.
Right? She is a great mom for him. And the fact that I see him every day, I talk to him every day, that isn't how some people, like even veterans I work with, and from the military life, I was in the Army for 5 years, and I got out of the Army without having a kid and without getting married. So like a lot of times it'll be, hey, Eddie, oh wait, you have 3 kids, bro? Oh, one's in Norfolk, one's in San Diego, one's in Texas. Oh shoot, how do you do that? No, I have friends that have, like, I have friends that I've known forever, and they're like at least 6, 8, 10 years. Oh, my son's coming up. What? You have a son? Like, I didn't know
Yes.
that. You never talk about him. But
Yeah.
so seeing this, the way I was raised in my childhood, and I know that present father figure is what kids need. So the Mav stuck with me, man. This dude's 9. He got 9 more years, and then he's going D1. So we'll have a little MVP chapter at the University of Oregon, Ohio State, wherever he ends up. We're going big.
I love that
So
for you, man. That's so beautiful. I like the way you
yeah,
said that, how you're going to be there for him no matter what. That is
yeah,
a key component of raising a young man in America, having a father figure, not necessarily their father, but having the love and the relationship bond between two people, as you
yeah,
teach your son, okay, listen, I made this horrible mistake, or hey, listen, those big conversations show up later in life.
yeah,
Sometimes me and her didn't work out. Not everybody's going to be compatible for life, but you know what? There's it's wrong to speak ill of your partner just because they aren't working with you. That doesn't mean they can't work with their child, right? And it shows your maturity and the love that you have for this child that you've created, that you speak so highly of her. Man, that's awesome.
yeah. So that's I was going to back to my college thing, right? I'm all over the place. I changed my name, right? And that kind of led to that conversation. Since I did it by I still have to like carry this document from when I was 18 that says I changed my name with my birth certificate, right? So it's kind of wild. And sometimes, like being in the military, I had that document with me, and I was like, uh, I still have it somewhere. I'm not really sure where, but it's with some important papers, right? Um, but that was kind of a wild time. Then I dropped out of school. I was going to, not high school. I finished high school, and I probably should have listened to my mom and got better grades. Tried a little harder at sports. Everything that I'm going to make sure the Mav and the new baby Rhett, they have to follow suit, and that's get good grades, because it's school first, sports second, and you better be a good student. Um, so, and I'm just blessed that my wife is a teacher. So, hey, they better have good grades or they're going to get it, you know?
Oh yeah.
Um, and so then I got out of high school, I went to Yakima. I was going to go to college, and I found, uh, met a couple guys. I still follow them on Instagram or whatever, on Facebook, that I talk to. But I had a wonderful time partying. Like
Yeah.
Yakima made it. I made it. I think the Raiders and the Buccaneers Super Bowl of 2002. I remember our Super Bowl party at college, and then it was like that next session I couldn't financially got cut because I wasn't too good, so I moved home. But moving home, like, it's funny to look at it. Hindsight's 2020. Uh, I did the same things in college the first time that I continue to do in the Army, so it kind of was I got in some trouble,
Oh yeah.
But I moved home, and I was renting a duplex for like, I don't know how much it cost, but I know I was only making like $8.30 an hour or whatever, working at Home Depot.
Mm.
It was like, I had my truck that I'd bought, and I was working at Home Depot, paying my rent. And I was like 20 for the most part of like 19, 20, sneaking into the bar with my friends, like, you're big enough, just come on, dude. They'll think you're 21,
Yeah.
sneaking in the bar, getting in fights, doing whatever. Um, but then I ended up in the army, and that's kind of, as we talked about before, my military career and the PNW vet stuff. Um, but uh, the army wasn't all roses, man. Like that's why I told you I didn't have the best time, you might say.
Mhm.
So I went to Korea, made some good friends, and I told you in the last thing I ended up in ASAP a couple times.
Yeah.
Commander Ferd, because when you when you get in fights every time you go out and get drunk, then they don't like you to get in fights, so they want you to go to alcohol treatment classes.
Yeah.
So I have my certificates from those, and so I was good. I was blessed to go to Korea first, when instead of Iraq and Afghanistan straight from the jump, because I had some soldiers that I learned from that are still my mentors to this day. Like I'll call them and run things by them from the guys I met in Korea. So we worked hard and partied hard. So we trained and worked our jobs, but we also had fun and we had each other's backs. How we always get in trouble, right?
Oh
Uh,
yeah. You have
I
to.
yeah. That's just the so I really early on we were the group of us that got sent to Korea. Um, we got protected kind of from some stuff. Like we probably should have been kicked out of the army in the first 2 months I was in the army. Um, but it's cool to see these letters of reprimand, like you struck Sergeant Greggs with your knees in an unorderly manner that brought discredit to you, the army, like this whole writing.
Mhm.
Um,
Maybe next time you should have better cadence with your knees and your
yeah,
and you
my
strikes.
clinch was on point, and this dude was feeling it, so I got a letter.
Okay, maybe next time, after a couple of Muay Thai classes, you'll learn how to perfectly hit him in a way that he likes. I don't know, like what? Like that,
Yeah.
I think people fight. The military, it's not all sunshines and roses. They can portray that to people to the protesters back on the homeland when they say, "Well, why are this person acting reckless when they come back home?" Well, it's probably because they did some stuff that you would not. They've done some stuff. There's people who they might have some regrets. They might have some regrets. They might have some issues, some traumatic experiences that they need to blow off, and they might be bringing that childhood chip on their shoulder into the military, and to work it out from that 19 to 27 range is usually when it gets worked out in the military, and we do that by fighting. It
Yeah.
is what it is.
Yeah. And so that same man, that same thing even carried over to um we just fought, man. That's what we did.
It's what we do.
And it's yeah, there's uh yeah. I don't even know how to I don't even know how to finish my thought. So it's funny because in Korea we got in trouble, in Iraq. We came back, then I deployed to Iraq. In Iraq it was still yo motherfucker, you're not gonna tell me what to do, right? You don't know, like and it's funny, you see people that get rank that probably shouldn't get rank, and people that get rank taken away that shouldn't. And so the leaders aren't always leaders, right? So a lot of
That's
times
right.
you'll lean on your peers, and those peers will be. What's funny is you get your rank, then you get your rank taken away, and then your peers become your leaders. Then it's like, bitch, you're the same piece of shit that you were when we were the same grade. You know what I'm saying? Like, shut your mouth. And then they want to prove something. Then you got to tell them they're not proving anything either. Um, so I think that specific reason is really what fuels my fire, to keep going. And I see these people here, and a lot of my friends, they 10, 15 years in the army, they all got promoted to sergeant first class, whatever they are, and they're a majority of the people that I served with are all out of the military now, you know. So yeah, it's how do you go to a combat zone, um, see some shit that you shouldn't see, and then come home and try to just table it all. Of course, you're going to continue doing what you did, right? So that's what I was trying to look at. Uh, uh, some of the things I don't want to talk about that are like too much for me to even tell you, right?
Okay.
Some of the events and mass casualty shit that we dealt with in Iraq. Um, the one main thing was like we did a BDA, it's a battle damage assessment, and picked up a little kid that was all fucked up, right? And the parents, and there was no weapons in the vehicle, so it really, I probably thought about this kid, and then when I had my first son, like I kept reflecting like this, picking up these bodies that we picked up before, right? So even when I have my own kids, I'm like, oh shit, bro. Like sometimes for a lot of years, it really messed with me. That was in '08. But what's crazy is,
And that's what's the push,
uh,
right? That was the big push. Oh, seven, oh,
yeah,
eight.
yeah. And the Navy, we all wrote statements, and the Navy sent our statements back all blacked out, right? The lines, what is it called? I can't even remember the
It's
government
when
word.
they, oh God, I can't remember.
Whatever, they
They pretty
erased
much
it
they pretty
all.
much audit. They black
Yeah,
out all the statements so that
yeah. So they're like, oh,
Congress can't read it.
yeah, you weren't there, you didn't see nothing. Shut up, go home. Like,
Hmm.
so, yo, my nightmares don't tell me that I wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
okay, cool, we weren't there. You know?
Plausible deniability.
Yeah. Uh,
Oh man. Well, I really
so
do appreciate you touching on that because I think it's a big component of what a lot of veterans struggle with.
yeah,
They have real experiences and then they get home and say, "Hey, I'm having a tough time because of these, this, that, and the third." No, that never happened. There's no way that could happen because it's usually from civilians who have never thought it's possible to experience a like for my friend, I'm just going to speak on his experience. I'm not going to name him or anything, but him
yeah,
watching the Navy SEALs drag Osama bin Laden's dead body across the non-skid, and then him get splashed out.
yeah,
That people don't think that they would throw a human body in the water, or that they would or that people even go out in the dark with night vision goggles and do this crazy stuff that portrayed in Hollywood, but someone actually does, and it's Hollywood sugarcoats and waters down whatever could possibly be out there. So lower your standards for how these acts that brave men and women do for the United States military and the contractors as well every single day. They do stuff every single day that most people do not have the mental fortitude to survive the aftermath of. And that shows, sadly, in what's going on with our country right now.
yeah. It's wild.
Mm-hmm.
So the kind of building on how I am where I am today, kind of. So I made some notes that I was sharing. I just so I could think about it.
Mm-hmm.
The shit that happened in Iraq, um, it was tough. Um, and I remember some of my friends, um, one of their buddies that they were deployed with in the first time killed himself, right? Like Skillet with the shotgun kind of killed himself, right? So that was the first time I was like, oh wow, it actually does happen. That's like the first instance I remember of hearing somebody talk about veteran suicide. And and so then it was like, wow. So I got home and I was struggling with myself, right? And I got out, and then my friends all deployed. Uh, and then I found that gig to go to Afghanistan, like I told you before. I was doing
Oh yeah.
that, and then one of my buddies was, what did they do? Some of them got blown up on February 28th. What did I tell you about February 28th? So they got blown up on February 28th of 2011. Well, you remember February 28th of 1987, my grandpa was killed, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like February 28th, uh, they kind of match up, right? So my grandpa got killed on the same day that my buddies got blown up.
It's a heavy
One of
day.
them, yeah. One of them's The two of them that came here to Madigan, I went in June of 11 when he got his Purple Heart given by the CG. I was here with him when he got his Purple Heart, and the other one, he's still wheeling around in his wheelchair. My man might probably listen to this podcast, right? So, so that kind of affected me because I was like, wow, how do they get hit? They really do get hit, right? And then about the next week later, my boy Weaver got killed in Afghanistan too. But he was with my old platoon, like my old guys. And what's kind of the messed up part about that is about 2 weeks before I got out of the Army, Weaver and I kind of got into a little piss match, in the hallway. And that motherfucker tested the hands one time and ended up on the floor. And then they're like, man, you're going to get kicked out, like don't fight. So we're trying to not fight. And we made up, and brought him out for his birthday. But it was, when I think back to my man, it might be the last person that I punched in his face. Like he might be the last person I punched, and I'll never get the chance to punch him again. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that. It's like
a brotherhood or a camaraderie.
Yeah. So that happened, right? And then, so it's weird because my cousin died on the same day, the same weekend that one of my buddies got killed in Iraq. Then my other boys get blown up on the same day my grandpa got killed. Then the next one gets blown up, right? And then I go over there and I see some stuff as a civilian on the battlefield, all kinds of stuff going on. And then coming home, and then people just start killing themselves, like I don't even know how to sugarcoat it. There's no way to sugarcoat it.
There's no way to sugarcoat it.
So you, whether you're dealing with stuff yourself or you're talking to somebody, working through things, it's when to ask for help is kind of the thing. So my ex-wife, Maverick's mom, I met her when I came home from Iraq, and she was with me during my transition from the military, that initial transition from the military. And I know I drank a lot and I ate a lot, I had told you before, I got up to like 420 pounds, man. I was a big boy.
Yeah, you're tall as hell too. So,
but I could sure pack some beer away. I could eat. So like all my buddies were killing themselves. A lot of them did, and I was just kind of eating my feelings away, eating and drinking, and it's crazy because you think talking about veteran suicide, what's the method or whatever of choice, right? You see I've had friends, people I've known, jump off bridges, hang themselves, shoot themselves. That's the raw part of it, is everybody does their own thing. And then when I got this, like I have 22 tattooed on my finger. So there was an organization called 22 Kill, and now they're called One Tribe. They're out of Texas. 22 was like the suicide rate when one of my good friends killed himself. So Memorial Day weekend, you get a phone call, hey, man, he killed himself, right? It's like, what? Yo, and remember how all these days kind of line up? The next Memorial Day weekend, my grandma died. So it's like all these things happen in pairs. So like Memorial Day weekend is something that he was one of the guys that got blown up on the 28th, ended up taking his own life, right? So
I'm sorry.
And what's crazy is all my friends, they know what I do for work, and they talk to me sometimes. I have his CD in my truck to this day, and it's still just kind of, it plays every once in a while, and I might start crying listening to it. But he texts me that song, Going Through Changes. You ever heard of it? Yeah. Eminem, Going Through Changes. He told me that's my life. One day he texted me, he's like, bro, this song's my life. So like now when I hear Eminem, I'm like, that song. when it comes up. But so what? All that stuff happened, and then had Mav, had Mav in 13, 19. Me and his mom split, right? Still have the best co-parent combination you might ask for, right? There's some people that are like get jealous of it, like, how do you guys do that? Yo, I get mad sometimes, right? Like I get triggered. She triggers the hell out of me. But it's like, then I think about it for a second. It's like, oh, maybe I don't need to do that. We have a situation, like it's going good. We don't need to change anything. So I'm just very lucky to have the best mom that I have. Mav has a good mom. Now my current wife, Kate, we had a baby 5 months ago, Rhett, and I know that all the moms that I associate with are all freaking awesome. So it's just kind of that continual providing for your family and finding a partner's family to do it with, right?
Absolutely, brother. I just want to say that I really, really admire the parent dynamic you two have. I see it all over Facebook in the pictures. It never ends. Your support for him, and I know when he gets older and as he grows and sees other people around him, he's gonna appreciate that. Are you thinking about making a podcast? Spotify has a platform that lets you make one, and if I can figure it out, you definitely can too. You can create your own content all in one place for free with zero hangups and even earn money as soon as you get started. Spotify lets you record and edit episodes from your phone or computer so you can go mobile, just like I enjoy to do. My favorite thing about it is that you can create video episodes if you wish and upload them to wherever podcasts are heard. You can even set up subscriptions or, if you're like me, listener support options for listeners to help you grow. I 10 out of 10 recommend the Spotify for Podcasters app. Or, why don't you just step over to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started on your own podcast. So I just want to say I appreciate you touching on things that have personally affected you. I don't think it ever can become easy to speak on things that you've experienced that are traumatic, that are difficult, that are the epitome of what, that cost of what we all look at as freedom. The ability to do certain things that cost. People and human beings pay for it. So I appreciate you, one, serving and being able to touch on those. I know it's never easy to cope with losing friends, especially with veteran suicide and any suicide. That's something that you and I have similar in common. I think about it often. The people who've come before me and the people who have found that life gets a little bit too heavy and they feel that they can't take it anymore, and they do make that decision to pass the pain, and it's something that sticks with me every day. So if there's anybody that's listening that's going through a tough time, I hope you please do reach out to a friend, because and this might sound I might say it the improper way, but you please don't put us through missing you in this life. Please don't do that. You have value left to add. There's nothing that you're going through that you can't come back from with your team, with your tribe, your unit, with your platoon. You don't win firefights alone. No, there's no UFC fighter that fights without corners. There's no father who can do it alone. Everybody has things that we experience. Please do reach out to a friend. So you were just talking about your current son, Rhett. He's 5 months old, correct?
Yep, that's my man.
Congratulations, my brother. I absolutely love that for you, and I loved meeting your lovely wife, and seeing you two together was amazing.
Yeah, it's man, everything happens for a reason, right? So you just happen to meet people that'll change your life, and you never know. And quite frankly, that meeting people is kind of what I do best, right? So like it's just kind of having the ability to go out and talk to folks and just kind of see what's going on. You learn about different people's lives, and it's really about that support network, right? So like I told you, so many of my friends have taken their own lives, and they know what I do for work. They know that that's what I do. So it's like, feel comfortable to reach out, but there's no way any one person should ever feel that somebody uh, wasn't able to make it through because of them, right? That's when you see people coping. I told you I ate a lot, right? I drank a lot, ate a lot. I used to be able to drink an 18 rack and drive to the store and get another 18 rack, right? I haven't drank beer in probably 5 years now. I haven't drank beer in a long time. Well, I still drink, but I don't want to waste it on beer.
Healthy
But
boundaries.
right. Um, but it's the coping mechanisms. So whether it is drinking, whether it is eating, or maybe it's working out. So for a little bit, you might find yourself working out, and it's this. I need to do something to take my mind off of whatever it is that's bothering me. So whether it's reading a book, going to the gym, um, finding something that's healthy to take your mind off of what you're going through, and kind of knowing a little bit about like the mental health realm and recovery and things like that. It's usually like a short window, right? For suicidal ideation, it might be 8 to 10 minutes. You get through that 8 to 10 minutes, then you're gonna make it. So that's the thing. Instead of going and picking up a bottle and going and doing whatever kind of drugs, going and doing anything that might impact your life or your friends' lives negatively, finding that healthy outlet, right? I think for a while, you couldn't catch me in a gym, right? Because every time I saw an elliptical, I would think of, you're a fat piece of shit. I need you to, you're eating a bag of chips, you piece of shit. Go get on that elliptical until you burn enough calories that are in that bag of chips, right? So like in the Army, that's how I was treated. So for the longest time, no way would I be in a gym. No way in hell. It's like, and still to this day, there's some people I think about this like, that piece of shit.
Yeah, no one should have ever referred to you like. I've been in the fitness community for a while. I am a very huge advocate that you do not ever dehumanize somebody by belittling them to the
Oh
point where
yeah.
they could feel bad about themselves. Could not
Yep.
do, but could feel bad about themselves. If someone is overweight, that is their burden to bear, not yours. And if
Oh
someone's
man.
being unhealthy, that's not your body. Everybody's
And that's
everybody and
the
everybody's different. You don't deserve that, man. I'm sorry.
no, no, that's the AR 600-9 in the Army, and that's the regulation. And I was blessed with this big body, and well, I got it for 5 years every day. So like part of me advocating for soldiers, advocating for veterans the way I do is because I know the shitty leadership I dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
I know what it's like, and having friends, and that's why many of my friends think I am the most. You're insane. Why do you want to be around the people that treated you that way? Why do you want to be in a system that a lot of my friends have gone to separate themselves from? Because, dude, I had it rough, man. Like I told you, I might have been a dirtball, but I was pretty good at the. I was pretty good at the Army life, but I wasn't so good at the not drinking and not fighting and listening and maintaining my weight, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the Army doesn't care if you could bench 400 pounds. If you can't put a tape around your neck and around your stomach and say that you pass a body fat percentage, then it doesn't matter if you could carry a 50 cal and mount it on a truck by yourself without anybody. They don't care about that.
Mm-hmm.
What they care about is this body fat composition. So I find that that's one thing that really triggers me at work when all the soldiers I work with are in the med board process, and you still want to wrap a tape around their stomach and tell them they're not good enough for a system that they're already getting separated from.
Mm-hmm.
So like a part of me, I'm like, yo, don't let that bother you, man, because I've got to where I am working for the federal government, and there's not one person that would come in here and tell me they're going to take me. right? Oh, you're not going to get your next step in your GS pay grade if you don't pass this tape test. No, shut your mouth and get out of my office.
Yeah,
You
pretty
know,
much.
but no, that's the in that transition, right? I all the things I didn't want for not getting married, right? I didn't want the divorce, but it happened. I didn't want to have those other kids in other places. That's why I'm here. I tried uh, many a times. I've tried different behavioral health medications, uh, from ones that give you a restless leg to ones that make your boobs hurt, right? Ones that make you gain weight. Um, I've tried so many different kinds of behavioral health medications, and from what I found is I got my nutrition right, drop some weight, become active, hit the gym again. Then look what happened, man. I found MVP. I was working out, doing boxing videos, working out in my own gym at my house. I ran a 5K this last year with my wife and my son. We ran a walk to 5K, run, whatever. Man, light pole to light
You
pole.
moved
You got to
5K,
do
all
the
right.
best you can. We
Yeah.
moved a 5K, right?
Yeah.
Um, so it's like when you become active, you're able to stay on your feet. You're able to provide. You're able to go play catch in the yard. You're um, able to go work out. I wake up every morning now. For since Rhett was born, I wake up every morning 4:45, hit the gym.
Yeah, I see
Right.
it.
I
I
just
actually
asked my
live
guy
for it
today. I
now. I
said, bro,
live for it
next.
now.
I said my shoulder kind of hurts, but man, next week I'm gonna push 3 plates. You let's hit 315 a couple times, see how we do it.
Okay.
And he's like, whoa, bro, you bench like that? I said, yeah, but I don't go above 275 when it's just me because it's kind of scary. I don't want to be the guy at the gym like, oh, I need a spot, and like everybody has their headphones in. I
I've
don't want to
always
get
felt
choked
like it's
out by the
been,
bench press at the gym.
oh yeah, me working out. Like obviously, I was a twig when I first started. I was like 120 pounds. My knee injuries coming out of the Navy. I uh, I never realized that there's this certain threshold that you can reach where it's not weight anymore. It's just heaviness. All right.
Yeah,
So when anything past 315 pounds, it's just heavy. Doesn't matter,
yeah,
300, 400, 500, it's just heavy. All right. So
yeah,
when I went to deadlift 315 and I was like, I'm like, okay, let's add it. It's, add another, add 25 or sorry, 235. And then I was like, oh, let's add another one. Let's see what happens. 25 on each side, half plate. And then I added a full plate. And then I was like, oh, I can miss. Okay. All right. And then keep going, keep going. 405, whatever. Heavy is
yeah,
heavy. Can you move
yeah.
heavy shit or can you not? Is the question. And can you do
And
it
it's
safely without feeling old?
Yeah, and that might your elbows and your shoulders and your chest, you're gonna feel it.
Oh
Like that's
yeah.
the. It's funny because in the military, that's one thing we were able to do. When I was on leave, from Iraq, my buddies all had the chance to meet Chuck Norris, and he gave us a total gym. So
Did
we
you
had a
kick him?
total gym in our IP station, right? So they all got a picture on the Humvee with Chuck Norris. I was on leave. I'm not in the picture, but I wish I was. But we went on undercover missions sometimes to acquire some plates and different things for our gym in our little room we had.
Hell yeah.
Um, but that's one thing that we did was work out together. So my buddy was my gunner, right? He's a firefighter in Newark, New Jersey. We talk about every day. My other buddy Jimenez, he's in Florida. Uh, he had a rough time, right? His story's his story. He had a rough time in Afghanistan and got out of the army. But they live down in Florida now, and I talk to him about every day. He talks to me about my weight, about nutrition, and he's a personal trainer down there in Florida. They just moved there, him and his wife. Um, but fitness and nutrition is big to them. So it's funny that these little guys that I worked out with in a room in Iraq we worked out together, um, are still my guys to this day. I'll probably talk to one of them on the way home. Like it's that important. Like we keep each other going in check. Not, it's kind of me. It's really me reaching out to them. They reach out every once in a while, but it's really that they got me through hell, so I might as well make sure they don't go.
Do you think
I don't
that
want you to go to hell because we got through it together.
do you think that that's a key component of of thriving? Not
Yeah,
of surviving, because you know what? a lot of people have what it takes to survive alone. But what about thriving? Is that brotherhood, that camaraderie that you feel you've literally forged a war zone, has that helped you thrive?
Yeah, 100%.
Mm,
Like I think, and that's the thing, right? Veterans that when you hear a veteran took their own life or whatever, right? Wow, I can't believe that dude to do that. And you just think about it for a second. But just in the same vein, think how bad that person was struggling, how hard it was for them to wake up every day. Think about how hard it was for that. And that's just like, that's a burden nobody should have, right? Like, wow, that's a rough life. Um, but no, it's funny in the working out thing, right? Just random ass thoughts. You worked out, or people work out, but then people lift heavy, right? So it's funny, like you look at a plate and you're like 135, two plates, 225, three plates, 315, four plates, 405. I already know how much somebody's lifting by just glancing at their plate stack.
mhm.
Oh, that mug's at 175. Who works out with 175? Put two plates on there, boy. Come
Yeah,
on.
5, 10 pounds.
But
It's all up here in the mind.
yeah, it's
Mhm.
just it's funny. And then of course people hit me with oh, you're that big, you should be able to lift that much.
Whatever.
Like, yo, I
Whatever.
know some 300 pounders that can't even lift themselves up off the couch talking about lifting that weight above their head. Come on.
Mhm. Yeah, some that can't even lift a pancake to their face, let alone water. You know, working out definitely has been a major contributor to me, to my transition. If I didn't have I could tell you this honestly, if I didn't live 1 mile away from LA Fitness here in Linwood and didn't get excited to sprint to the gym, I'd man, I'd get off work, I'd grab my clothes, I'd jog, I'd sprint, whatever I had to do to get to this gym to get this good feeling I got when I left there. I accomplished something. Something that's
Yeah.
really tangible, not an Xbox achievement, not a oh yeah, your gamer tag, you got this many gamer tag points or whatever. I really achieved something special. I got to
Yeah.
develop what I look like. I wasn't a skinny guy who couldn't move anything anymore. I was the skinny dude who was kind of buff, who could deadlift 405 like it was easy, and I could bench, I could shoulder press, and I developed my body. I built this person that people see today, or that they saw before my shoulder injury. That was something I created. When you invest in yourself, fuck man, what a feeling! What a feeling you get.
Yep. Yeah. That's the fun. And you say the achievements, right? One thing that's kind of like, sometimes I have to let it go. You see this stupid Apple Watch? Yo,
Uh-huh.
sometimes this sucker is I just want to rip it off my wrist. So it's like you live for these goals, right? My buddy Bob Doff, yo, man, that motherfucker just did 40 minutes on the elliptical. I gotta go beat him. Like I know he worked out. Oh, he closed his rings before me. And then it's like, I'm tired, it's 4 in the morning. I'm going to the gym. Halfway to the gym, that mind you, the gym's 2 miles from my house. Going to the gym and it's like, oh man, I forgot my watch. I don't care. I'm gonna break my shoulders off today. My watch ain't gonna tell me how bad I'm gonna kill myself right now. I'm in the gym, boy. Let's get it.
Yeah.
So it's like those virtual or uh, validations that you get when you can't give yourself that validation,
Mm.
right? So it's cool though, because I for a while when I first started this job, I would come and work out with the soldiers. Come into the gym, lift weights with them. You kind of build that relationship with some of the soldiers so they're comfortable coming and asking for help. Um, and then, of course, the games of basketball, the games of dodgeball, football. I get down with these guys. I'm not as fast or as whatever, man. My knees busted out, my back hurts, and I'm slow because I'm old, but I still go and participate, and they love it. Like they're just there trying to be a member of the team.
Mm.
So it's it's pretty cool. And then COVID happened, right? And then COVID, um, I built my own gym, a program called Catch a Lift Fund. Catch a Lift Fund it's about physical well-being, right? And they have a little 8-week camp. You go through this 8 weeks, you follow this fitness plan, and they give you a grant or they'll pay for a gym membership at the end of it. It's pretty cool. So I got a Rogue Elite air bike, the same kind that they have at Rebel Fitness. Um, and so working out during COVID, and then we had the baby, so I put on the crumble cookie weight because I
Crumble
don't know.
cookie. I
Yeah,
knew it. I knew it was gonna get
man,
brought up eventually.
Bonnie Lake. Bonnie Lake is a group of assassins. Man, they have the brand new Costco, Chipotle, crumble cookie, all Habit Burger, all this stuff in the same area. It's like, yo, this person, they know me. And so like I gained the weight, but now I've that's why I started going back to the gym. I started the federal employee. I get some paternity leave. I started that gym process when I started leave, and now I'm going back every day. Feels good. Eating in a calorie deficit. It's crazy. You do a little calorie deficit, you have more energy than you ever would. So it's like I'm gonna eat this. I'm gonna eat this, and then for dinner, hey, whatever floats your boat. If it's 3 pieces of pizza, get it. As long as you stay under that calorie deficit, you're good. So now, dropping the weight back that I gained, the energy's back, the knees feel better. I was able to stand out there with Mav. Well, we stood out at the football field for 15, 16 hours both days this weekend, just able to stand out there. Of course, you come home at the end of the day and, oh, my legs hurt, my legs hurt from walking around the football field all day, but I was out there with him, you know. Uh, so yeah, man, that's the life. I have the best wife and the best kids you could ever ask for. My mom, she's the best mom, even though she's about to be 60. She's getting up there. No, I'm
But
just
she
messing.
still got it.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that for you,
But
man.
my little sister's a nurse. She's married. Her husband is a construction dude. They have two great children. They live down in Reno. My other sister works at Oregon State University. Uh, Her husband owns his own construction company. They have a great family. It's man, it really is. Family is really what keeps you going, and that's what I've really worked on that here in the veteran space, because I told you all my family's in Oregon, Nevada. My wife's family's all in Portland, the east side of Oregon. Family is who you make of it. So I have like my fill-in dad, because my dad passed away in 19. I told you that before. Have the fill-in dad, the fill-in mom, the local people. They're never going to take place of the OG, but they're just there. That support system. Then I showed you my jacket. Got my VFW jacket, like my old road dogs that are 70 years old, kicking. Uh, I see all those Vietnam vets wearing all this cool drip they wear. So I had to do the drip check too.
Oh yeah,
So you saw I
absolutely,
got
man.
my MVP hoodie. Even though it's late, they still hooked it up, and that was day one with the MVP hoodie. I took a picture with a former NFL football player, and I got the next former NFL football player on lock, ready for the next the photo sesh. Hey, let's take a selfie. I'm gonna promote a MVP
I love that for
because
you, man.
merging vets and players, man, they don't say what players, right? I got players and former NFL players that are teaching the next generation. My son's learning from the best, right?
Mhm.
So that's it's pretty cool to have access to some guys that have been there as well. Um, and it's funny that MVP is what kind of got me working out, got me intrigued, wants me to promote that other generation, merging vets and players, but it's vets and second graders, not vets and or older NFL players. Yeah, man, that's about all I got for today. Unless you got any other questions.
Yeah, I just had one, just one.
Yeah.
It really weighs on my mind. Um, I recently attended this PNW Vets Wednesday. I would call it more of a summit. We all come together and meet and try to figure some shit out every time. You asked you asked us what the three most serious things that are facing the veteran community. What are the three most harmful major issues that the veteran community faces? And I was wondering if you can share your consensus with me.
Yeah. The uh number one thing is veteran suicide, right? And suicide isn't a veteran problem, it's a real world problem. We know that from living here in the Northwest. Seasonal depression, behavioral health incident issues. Suicide is a people problem, and veterans, well, imagine that, we're people, so we have the same problem. So that the revamping of 988, that's a great resource for anybody that might have those feelings. The answer is, for the veteran space, the veteran community, veteran homelessness is the next issue. Because it's always like, when you look at it, it's always veteran suicide, veteran homelessness, veteran education. That might be the top three things.
Okay.
For myself, suicide's definitely number one. Number two and three kind of coincide together. It's veterans being able to advocate for themselves. Right? I don't care if you're homeless or if you're amputee, if you have PTSD, whatever that is. You need to be able to articulate your feelings and how you want to feel, and advocate for yourself when it comes to the VA or using other systems. Because if my knee hurts and I can't communicate effectively and tell you that my knee hurts without going off on a tangent, getting mad, threatening your mom and your sister and your family, I'm going to come after you, you can't fix me, right? If I can't articulate effectively without getting mad and triggered and angry, then bro, why do I deserve the help? Right? So like, it's that communication, advocating for your own well-being. And then if you could do that, you could figure out school, you could figure out healthcare, you could figure out the rest of life. And quite frankly, veteran suicide, veteran employment, access to care, right? Those are some of the things that I see. The top three, I can't give you three, man. It's like 10. Like I have
I
this whole
understand.
list of things. So it's very much taking that approach to making sure you're right upstairs. Then the rest of it will just kind of flow together, right? So
Absolutely, brother.
that's my 2 cents, or 10 cents, as you might ask. I'll give you a dime when you ask for a nickel, but it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Well, I definitely appreciate you touching on those, because you're doing exactly what you're talking about. Not only do you help other people, but you're helping yourself through fitness, through creating your tribe, through having a family that is not necessarily blood related because you chose them, and they choose you as well. That's what creates family. A lot of my family, who I consider my family, I don't see them as, they're not usually in my bloodline at all, because we have that relationship that's stronger than my own family was to me growing up. So I see a lot of similarities in the things you've experienced with what I've experienced, and that's why I think we might be brothers. I don't know. Maybe one of our family lines crossed somewhere in there. We kind of got a similar story. But I
Man,
wanted to tell you that I appreciate everything that you do. I appreciate you sharing a little bit about your experiences overseas. I would never ask you, and I would never expect you or anybody that comes on to talk about things they experienced overseas, because it shouldn't be sugarcoated. It shouldn't be have a Hollywood spin on it. It shouldn't be war porn, or is how people I usually describe it, violence porn. I don't like people that indulge in that type of stuff. But when you shared your experience, it was a gift to us to share and open up about who you are, what you've gone through, so we could have perspective. So I appreciate that as well, man. I really do.
yeah.
All right, brother. Well, thank you
No
so
problem.
much for your time. Thank you so much for your wisdom, your insight, and thank you for sharing your story. And more importantly, thank you all for listening to another episode of Off the Deep End with Eddie. I am so excited to be here with this giant of a human being, and not just physically, also with his heart. His heart, he has a huge heart. He cares about everybody that he comes across, and it inspires me to want to do better. So if you like what he's doing, be sure to reach out to me. I can put you in contact with him. If you'd like to participate or contribute to the next PNW Vets meeting and help other veteran service organizations connect, please do let me know. Be sure to follow us on the Facebook page, and let's have a nice chat like we always do. And enough waffling. Bye-bye.